Hello, thanks for joining me today. A couple go to see a magic trick, and after one particularly amazing trick, the man yells out, "Man, how did you do that?" The magician replies, "Well, I could tell you, sir, but then I'd have to kill you." So the man says, "Well, how about you tell my wife?" Now, I don't fully understand that joke, but what I can draw from it is that there are times when you may remember when you've gone to see a magician when you were a kid or whatever, and they've done something and you just think, wow, that's amazing. How did they do that? There's something mysterious going on here, something strange. For people of faith, we see that there is something strange, something mysterious going on often that we don't fully see. There's an unseen world perhaps going on that we are not quite is not quite in our visibility. There's instances in the Bible where situations happen and there's much more going on behind the scenes. If you've ever suffered disappointment, if you've ever been in a confusing situation, when you've wondered, where is God? Why doesn't he seem to respond to my prayers? Is he just indifferent? Doesn't he care? Why is something not happening? Then you're in good company, because many of the great Bible heroes have been exactly where you've been, or where you're perhaps at now. Last year I read a really good book by an author that I respect greatly called Philip Yancey. The first book I read of his was What's So Amazing About Grace, which I would commend to you. But this book is a little bit of a deeper subject. It's called Disappointment with God. Now, it's not one of the ones that if you go into a Christian bookstore, you would gravitate straight towards and grab it off the shelf, perhaps. But it's a profoundly helpful book if you've ever been in a situation where things have happened and you've been quite confused and you've perhaps it's made you struggle at times. Because of your experiences. But I found it a really helpful book last year. There's glimpses he talks of behind the curtain, as it were, that we see. And disappointment and confusion, we think immediately of a character in the Bible, Job, of course, was in a very confusing situation. His story starts with a glimpse behind the curtain where there's this strange scenario of God and the devil having a wager as to Job's response if all the blessings of Job's life are taken away from him. What is all this about? Another glimpse behind the curtain is in Daniel chapter 10. After 21 days of prayer and fasting, Daniel has an astounding angelic encounter. It's probably one of the most powerful encounters, angelic visitations that we see in the Bible. In Daniel 10:12 we read, "He told me," this is the angel told Daniel, "Don't be afraid, Daniel. God has heard everything you said ever since the first day you decided to humble yourself in front of your God so that you could learn to understand things. I have come in response to your prayer." Philip Yancey, in his book, comments on this scenario. For 21 days, Daniel devoted himself to prayer. He mourned, he gave up choice foods, he swore off meat and wine and used no lotions on his body. All the while, he called out to God, but received no answer. Then, one day, Daniel got far more than he bargained for. A supernatural being with eyes like flaming torches and a face like lightning suddenly showed up on a riverbank beside him. Daniel's companions legged it. They fled in terror. As for Daniel, he says, "I had no strength left. My face turned deathly pale. I was helpless. When he tried talking to the dazzling being, he could hardly breathe." The visitor proceeded to explain the reason for the long delay. He had been dispatched to answer Daniel's very first prayer, but he had ran into strong resistance from the prince of the Persian kingdom. Finally, after a 3-week standoff, reinforcements arrived, and Michael, one of the chief angels, helped him break through the opposition. I will not attempt to interpret this amazing scene, Philip Yancey comments, of the universe at war, except to point out a parallel to Job. Like Job, Daniel played a decisive role in the warfare between cosmic forces of good and evil. Though much of the action took place beyond his range of vision, to him, prayer may have seemed futile and God indifferent. But a glimpse behind the curtain reveals exactly the opposite. Daniel's limited perspective, like Job's distorted reality. What are we to make of Daniel's angelic being who needed reinforcements, not to mention the cosmic wager in Job? Simply this, the big picture, with the whole universe as a backdrop, includes much more than we ever see. When we stubbornly cling to God in a time of hardship, or when we simply pray, more, much more may be involved than we ever dream of. It requires faith to believe that, and faith to trust that we are never abandoned, no matter how distant God seems. We've all been through those times where God doesn't seem to be answering our prayer, where God seems to be distant and unresponsive, and we question, does God even care? Well, I would commend you to carry on praying regardless. Cling to God, because we do not know the whole picture. We don't see behind the curtain, but there may be a cosmic battle going on, and your prayer may be the decisive thing in the battle. So don't give up. If you need to do business with God, say sorry for him for not trusting him in the past, and keep on praying. God bless you.